Admit it. Come on. You took my necklace, didn't you? Mindy looked at us and shook her head. She was sweating. Well, there are only 3 of us in this house, and if Andy didn't take it, then obviously it was you. Seriously, Cass, you got to believe me, I didn't take it. But clearly she was lying, because when I rummaged through her bag, Cass's necklace was right there. Cass told her to get out of her house, and Mindy burst into tears. Poor Mindy. I really wanted to stop Cass, but she seriously hates people touching her stuff, so I just kept quiet. You see, Cass and I are pretty much joint at the hip. We've always lived in the same neighborhood, so we grew up together and shared everything. Well, almost everything. Except one little secret that would probably ruin our friendship forever if she found out about it. Auntie, what are you doing? I started to stammer. This is so cute. Honestly, I'm so upset about Mindy. I can't believe she'd do something like that. I smiled, not knowing what to say. I mean, it was me who'd exposed her. Suddenly, I felt so guilty. Right at that moment, we got to the checkout. Cass took everything out of the cart to give to the cashier. Hang on, she exclaimed. What is this? This item has the barcode ripped off. The cashier made a fuss for a while and even called the manager. Cass and I stood there for ages trying to figure out what was going on. Cass even started crying, thinking she'd be accused of shoplifting. After about 30 minutes, the store manager came and told us we could leave. They kept the items that had no barcodes and sent us on our way. Phew, that was close. What? What do you mean? Oh, nothing. I'm just relieved that we didn't get into any trouble. Just so you know, though, that wasn't the first time we got ourselves into an awkward situation while out shopping. Sometimes it was the torn barcodes, sometimes the tags were missing, then the security alarm would always go off at the door. And all of these situations weren't just coincidences. Okay, I gotta be honest here. The thing is, I have a habit of pilfering. Not because I can't afford stuff. I mean, my dad's the owner of a bank, so money isn't the issue. My dad basically buys me the latest phone every month. And you should see my wardrobe. I have all the designer bags. I steal because it gives me the kind of thrill that my boring daily life just can't give me. My dad just hands me money every day and never stops to think that maybe I'd like a hug or a how are you ever since my mom left when I was just a baby. He's been using money as a way to keep the peace. So one day when I was in elementary school, I stole a hairpin from the girl who sat next to me. It felt so good, like my own little secret. I loved the drama that came with it, and the fact that no one ever suspected me because I was such a rich little girl. After the hairpin, I got addicted to stealing little things and couldn't stop. It felt like the only thing I could control in my life, and so I kept on doing it. And here I am now, still getting a buzz from it every single time. And yep, you've guessed it. The one who took the necklace at Cass's sleepover was none other than me, of course. But at that time, because I was so scared, I slipped the necklace into Mindy's bag and pretended to find it there. I was deep in thought when suddenly Alex's scream startled me. Guys, I've lost my unicorn pen. You know, the pen that glows? The whole class was suddenly in uproar. Some friends were trying to look for it. Meanwhile, Alex was walking straight towards me. Andrea must have taken it. This morning when I took out the pen, me and her were the only ones in here. I looked up at Alex, my heart pounding in my chest. This is it. I'm so done this time. Then I suddenly looked over at Scott Parker, the cute boy who just transferred to our class. Oh no, I couldn't give him a bad impression of me. I had to quickly think of a way out of this. You waited until I went to the bathroom to take it, didn't you? Alex, I'd never do such a thing. Besides, I have loads of nice pens. In fact, you can have one if you'd like. I pulled out a beautiful pink rhinestone pen from my pencil case and handed it to Alex. While Alex stared in awe at my pen, I suggested everyone go check their lockers to see if her pen was there. Sure enough, right by the lockers was the glowing unicorn pen she'd lost, right in front of Scott. I picked up the pen and handed it to Alex. I'm so upset you thought I'd steal this from you. But it's okay. At least we found it. Alex blushed and apologized to me. Our other friends also blamed Alex for not looking for it carefully enough and for jumping to conclusions about me. Next time, don't be so silly. Andrea's a good person. Besides, her family is so wealthy. Why would she need to steal a pen from you? I just smiled and walked away. Suddenly, a voice called out from behind me. It was Scott. He looked at me and said, "Wow, that was totally dramatic. I'm Scott, by the way. You're Andrea, right? I'm sorry if this is a bit forward, but here's my number." Excuse me? Am I dreaming? Of course, I texted him as soon as I got home. He said he was so impressed with how I'd handled being blamed for the whole thing. Soon we were chatting every day, and eventually he asked me to be his girlfriend. I was so happy. But there was just one small problem. Ever since we'd started dating, I felt really ashamed about my bad habit of stealing things. I was determined to give it up, but it wasn't going to be easy. One day, Scott came to pick me up and asked if I wanted to go to the bookstore. A bookstore? No, I don't want to go there. Can we go somewhere else? Please? Seeing me panic like that, Scott looked puzzled. Then he suggested we go to his place to watch a movie, which I was fine with. Hopefully there would be no temptations for stealing there. A middle-aged woman opened the door for us at Scott's place. "Oh, this is Sandra, our maid." "Hi, Sandra. I'm Andrea." But instead of saying hi back, Sandra just stared at me in a seriously creepy way. It actually sent shivers down my spine. After watching the movie, Scott and his mom invited me to stay for dinner. Scott's mother, Mrs. Doris Parker, was really sweet, and we had some interesting chats. While waiting for dessert, I got up to go to the bathroom. But as I stepped out there, I almost bumped into Sandra. She was just standing there staring at me again. Sorry." She didn't say anything, but just kept staring at me in this weird way. Oh my gosh, why was she looking at me like that? The next morning at school, Scott told me his mother had just lost a valuable ring. She had a jewelry tray next to the bathroom sink, and after washing her hands, she'd forgotten to put her ring on. After dinner, the ring was no longer there. I comforted Scott, then made an excuse to go to the ladies' room. I needed to seriously think about this. Honestly, I'd tried my best to not get the urge to steal at Scott's place. But when I'd seen Doris's beautiful ring, no, I had to find a way to return it. No one could find out about this. And I had sworn to myself that I would never let this happen again. "Hello, Huh? Where's Sandra?" "Oh, she was fired. Mrs. Parker said Sandra had stolen her jewelry. Anyway, may I help you?" Oh no, I had to return this ring immediately. Poor Sandra. Scott came down for me and said he'd make dinner. I glanced through the window to find Doris was having tea in the garden. This was my chance. I snuck up to her room, quietly tiptoed in, and headed towards her jewelry box. Suddenly, the light came on. "Tell me, what on earth are you doing here?" I quickly turned around, dropping the ring to the floor. Mindy? Why are you here?" "I'm Scott's cousin. So it was you who stole the ring. I can't believe my cousin is dating you." Hearing the noise, Scott and his mom ran upstairs, while I was still dumbfounded and speechless. "It was you who stole Cass's necklace too, wasn't it? She won't even speak to me because of you." "I'm so sorry. I know it's not okay, but I couldn't stop myself. I've been feeling so guilty, so that's why I'm returning it." I was still kneeling on the ground when a hand reached out to me and helped me stand up. "I'll handle this. Come on, let's have a chat outside, shall we?" Turns out Mrs. Parker is a therapist. She could see I had a problem and offered to help me. I told her how guilty I'd been feeling about Sandra getting fired and asked Doris if she could call her for me so I could apologize. 30 minutes later, Sandra arrived. As soon as Doris saw her, she apologized and offered her the job back. But no, ma'am. I was the one who stole it, and I deserve to be punished. "I'm sorry. Sandra, I've already confessed to Mrs. Parker that I stole the ring. I didn't mean to get you fired. I just couldn't help it. You didn't do anything wrong. It was me. I was greedy. She is innocent." What on earth is going on? Obviously, I was the thief, so why was she defending me? Why are you doing this? Do we know each other, Sandra? And that's when the truth came pouring out. Sandra was my mom. Yeah, I don't know how this is possible either. So according to her words, she'd had a huge fight with my dad when I was a baby, and she'd fled to another city where she found a job working for Scott's family. When they moved to Seattle, she came with them. Even though she was nervous about returning back to where me and my dad were, she'd carried so much guilt about leaving us, and never in a million years did she expect to bump into me at Scott's house. I was so shocked I couldn't even speak. I'd imagined this moment my whole life, And now, here I was, standing face to face with her, and she'd even taken the blame for me. I couldn't believe it. Mom, I'm so sorry that I stole the ring. I can't believe you're really here. Sweetie, you don't need to apologize. I'm the one who will be apologizing for the rest of my life, abandoning my daughter like that. What kind of mom am I? How will you ever forgive me? We stood there, hugging for what felt like forever, and I knew in that moment that I'd never steal again. Doris diagnosed me as having kleptomania due to a lack of love from my mom. But now that my mom was back, I had no reason to seek out those thrills from stealing. I had everything I needed right here. There were a few moments where I almost stole again, but Doris told me to call my mom as soon as I felt the urge, and when my mom picked up the phone and I heard her voice, the urge faded, and I felt so much better. Scott and Cass and Mindy forgave me after Doris sat them all down and explained more about my addiction and where it stemmed from. Now, Scott and I are still together, and I see my mom every day at Scott's place. My dad hasn't forgiven my mom for leaving yet, but baby steps. Finally, I feel like everything is complete, and my pilfering is a thing of the past.
I walked into the cafeteria and gulped. The only free seat was next to Joanna, one of the weirdest girls in school. She was always sitting alone, and usually I'd avoid her because people said she didn't speak much and was totally shy. But somehow, I felt kinda sorry for her. I mean, how bad could it be? Well, famous last words. It was bad. I sat down with a smile, but she just glared at me and grunted, "Go on then. Throw me your worst insult." I was confused and said, "Oh, no, I just wanted to sit here and say hi. Are you okay?" Suddenly, Joanna started speaking at 1,000,000 miles per hour, telling me that of course she wasn't okay and that she had to see a therapist every day. Then she showed me all the pills she had to take and said she had crippling anxiety. I was shocked. Overwhelmed with TMI, I felt uncomfortable and thought of leaving, but then she grabbed my hand and said, "We're friends now, right? I've never had a friend in my life before. You're the first person I've really been able to open up to. Not even my parents know how hard it is for me." Whoa, I couldn't leave her now. I patted on her shoulder and told her I'd happily be her friend. I mean, it would just be spending some lunch together or grabbing a coffee at most. It'd be fine. However, Joanna's interpretation of a friend was slightly different from mine. 3 days later, I got back from the library quite late, so I went straight to my room as usual and started changing, only to find Joanna right behind me as I turned around. I almost woke up the whole building with a scream of fright. "Oh, hey, Rumi," she said with a big grin. What? This was insane. Rumi? What do you mean? But she just laughed and said she'd felt very lonely in her dorm on her own, and seeing as I had a double room, she'd asked the dorm supervisor if she could move in with me. I guess it wasn't so bad. I mean, I got lonely too sometimes. So that night, we stayed up super late chatting. And to be honest, it was actually nice to have a roomie. We became quite close. And a few nights later, we were having a movie night. Joanna turned to me and said, "Carrie, there's something I need to tell you." Oh no, surely there wasn't any more disturbing things left. How did this girl cope? But then she started blushing and said, "I have a crush on someone. His name is Mitch." Oh gosh, I knew exactly who she was talking about. "Joanna, he's bad news. He's a total womanizer. You're way too good for him." At least, that's what I said, but what I meant was that he was only into popular girls. He'd never go for a girl like Joanna. Joanna didn't take it well. "You're jealous, aren't you? I bet you have a crush on him too." "Well, I confessed, so he's mine." Huh, you're welcome to him. I never fancy someone like Mitch. I'm not that kind of girl. Joanna then said she'd prove to me that she could win him over. I felt annoyed at her and just went back to watching the movie. For a second there, it felt like my life had way more drama than ever before, and I started regretting ever sitting at her table that day. Little did I know, it was just the beginning. A week later, I was hit in the face by a huge surprise. Joanna and Mitch started dating. I was lying there listening to music when I heard voices outside the door. I opened it, and there was Mitch walking off. He turned back to blow Joanna a kiss, and then you should have seen the smug expression on her face. "Told ya," she said, laughing. Wow, cocky. But okay, I was happy for her. She was a woman of her word. But I was worried she'd get hurt. I didn't have time to tell her this, though, because pretty soon she was with him 24/7. He even came over to our dorm, and I was sick of listening to them kissing. They were disgustingly lovey-dovey all the time, and it quickly became exhausting. On Valentine's Day, he sent 100 balloons to our dorm, and I couldn't even get through the door. Could he be any more over the top? It wasn't even that romantic. But Joanna was smitten. It was painful to watch. But not as painful as seeing Mitch walking along the street holding some other girl's hand. I froze. This couldn't be. I quickly texted Joanna asking her how things were going between her and Mitch. She replied immediately saying, "All good, why?" So I told her what I'd seen, but I got no reply. I rushed back to our dorm and asked her why she was ignoring me and if she was okay. But she just started shouting at me, saying I was trying to ruin her relationship because I was jealous. Clearly, she didn't believe me. I told her I was telling the truth, but she just got up and left, slamming the door behind her. Things got really awkward after that. She ignored me in the dorm, ignored me in class, and wouldn't reply to any of my texts. And she still brought Mitch back to our room and kissed him in front of me. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore and asked her to move out. But I didn't expect what would happen next. Joanna lost it. She started shouting, "What's your problem? For the first time in my life, I'm happy and someone loves me. And there you are, trying to ruin this for me. And now you want to kick me out? It's not my fault you're single, Carrie. Maybe if you stopped being so jealous for a second, someone would like you back." I couldn't believe her. I wanted to scream. She was the worst. And the next morning, it got even worse. I was sitting with some friends before class started when suddenly Joanna walked in and burst into tears. People ran over to her and asked if she was okay, and that's when my blood ran cold. She started saying how I'd been bad-mouthing her boyfriend, and now I wanted to kick her out of our dorm. And then I heard my voice. I looked over, and she had her phone out and was playing a recording of our argument. Of course, she'd edited it to make me sound like the bad guy. Even my friends looked shocked, and Joanna told them all how I was a two-faced, good-for-nothing kind of girl and that I loved to gossip about everyone behind their backs. I tried to explain to everyone that Joanna was lying and that she was just angry, but everyone looked at me in shock. It was like they believed her. I was stunned. The next day, I noticed Joanna showing my friends some photos on her phone. They were screenshots of texts from me, but she'd edited them to create a total monster out of me. One time, Joanna had messaged me laughing about how my friend Valerie had the worst hairstyle ever, and I joked that she must have cut it by herself. And there was the message where Joanna talked about how Mitch said his ex, Anna, who was also our class president, must have been flirting with the economics teacher to get good grades. And I said, "Has Anna sunk that low? Not only having an affair with a married man, but basically committing academic fraud? I don't think she would do that, though." But of course, Joanna had cropped out the last sentence, and she didn't show her parts in the conversation either. By that way, I looked like the worst friend ever. I tried to tell them what Joanna was doing, but they were too hurt to believe me. But that's not all. You see, Joanna had sent these messages to the whole school. For the rest of the day, People were coming up to me and telling me I was nothing but a mean girl. And then at lunch, I went to sit in my usual spot with my friends, and suddenly they all jumped up and left me there alone. I could hear everyone whispering about me. And then the most popular girl, Amy, came over to me and said I was a disappointment to this college, and I didn't even deserve to be here. I couldn't hold back my tears, so I rushed back to my dorm. But standing there with her arms folded, blocking the door, was the dorm supervisor. She said that she'd received reports about my behavior and that I had 1 week to move out of the dorm. I didn't understand. What had I done? Apparently, people had told her I wanted to get her fired. And then I remembered Joanna saying those exact words and asked me how she could report to the manager. So I'd sent her a text explaining how to report her. Oh my gosh, she'd even used that against me? This was too much. I went to find Joanna. I was furious. She was ruining my life. When I got to class, I planned to show everyone our full chat conversations, unedited. But I didn't get the chance because Joanna was sobbing hysterically, and everyone was comforting her. She was saying how living with me was torture, and that she had to take medication to deal with me. Enough! How dare you! I screamed. Why are you doing this to me? What did I ever do to you? Joanna, of course, started crying even louder, and everyone stared at me like they wanted to kill me. I walked out of there feeling completely empty. I'd lost my friends, my dorm, my reputation, and every last bit of dignity, all because of that snake. I still didn't know what I'd done wrong. The more I tried to understand it, the more everyone defended Joanna. It was useless. No one listened to me. Eventually, I ignored them all, moved out of the dorm, and acted like Joanna didn't exist. Fortunately, I made some new friends that loved and trusted me and never twisted my words. As for gossiping about me that everyone else still did, I learned to block it out. And then about 4 months later, I got an email from Joanna. I was shocked. She said, "Carrie, I'm sorry. You were right all along. Mitch was cheating on me, and I should have listened to you. Please forgive me. I'm begging you. I'll do anything to make it up to you. I'll confess to everyone. Please, let's just be friends again. I miss you." Ha! Not in a million years. I deleted the email right away. There was nothing that she could do to ever make it up to me. She'd ruined my life, and I was done with that toxicity. Good riddance. I can't believe it's been a year since Gerald passed away. I know it's been hard, but on the bright side, at least you still have your 2 wonderful daughters. Thank you. She smiled. Then she rubbed Jamie's head. I'm very proud of this one. Yeah. Jamie's pretty, Jamie's girly, Jamie's adorable. And I was just the other child. I watched on as the 3 of them relaxed on the porch, giggling about dumb stuff and enjoying their lemonade, while I struggled with the stupid lawnmower. They didn't even notice me. I quickly finished up. Then I grabbed my skateboard and hurried out of there. Charlotte, stop right there. And where exactly do you think you're going without my permission? Skateboarding. I grumbled, then left. Whatever. She didn't care anyway. She just wanted to suffocate me. It wasn't like this back when I had Dad on my side. As you can see, I'm not a girly girl. All that manicure and makeup stuff just seems like nonsense to me. But my non-identical twin, Jamie, lives for it. She always wakes up extra early just so she has more time to style her hair, apply her makeup, and pick out her daily outfit. Then all she does at school is sit around with the other Barbies and giggle at pretty much everything. But guess that's the kind of girl Mom prefers, as it's blatantly clear that Jamie's her favorite. It's always me who had to do all the chores in the house, just so her Jamie could sit there scrolling through her phone. There was one time when I was washing the dishes, I heard a deafening shriek. No, my sister wasn't being murdered. Instead, there was a spider crawling across the floor. Poof! It was just a spider. Nuts! I didn't want to be a chore slave. I just wanted to skateboard. Yeah, skateboarding and painting are my true passions, but Mom told me skateboarding was for boys. Ugh, how ridiculous! So I often snuck out. There were times I got so into it that I lost track of time and arrived home to Mom's furious eyes. You're grounded. Next time, I won't hesitate in breaking your boards in half. Jeez, that was so unfair. I pushed past her and ran into my room. Then, clutching my board, I burst into tears. I wish Dad was still here. Whenever Mom and I argued, he always came up to my room and told me how Mom only acted the way she did because she cares about me. She just has a different way of showing it. It's been a whole year since he passed, all because of a freak accident at the factory he worked in. Now, we all had to rely on Mom's home tailor job, and I just became the errand girl, while Jamie sits around looking pretty. Worse still, Mom insisted I get a part-time job to support the family, while Jamie didn't have to. When I questioned Mom on this, she just said, "Jamie isn't like you. She wouldn't be able to handle both school and work." Excuse me, what? But I knew arguing with Mom about it was pointless. Anyways, it all worked out okay as I landed myself a job in this cool skateboard store. Oh, and also less house chores. One rainy afternoon, the store was quiet, so I took out my sketchbook and designed some skateboards. Then my manager, Rick, peered over my shoulder. Uh-oh, was I in trouble? But to my surprise, he said, "That's pretty good." Then he passed me a flyer for a skateboard designing contest. "You should give it a try." This contest was meant to be, so I spent all my free time shut away in my room working on my design. I didn't see Mom or Jamie for a full week. How peaceful. And guess what? I won first prize. It was awesome. However, Mom snatched the prize money from me due to family financial reasons. So my money was going to be used on new clothes and makeup for Jamie. Unbelievable! I didn't want to be under this roof anymore. But at 15, where else could I go? Poof. Then Mom told me her work was slow at the moment, so I should enter more contests to support my family. Hey, it got me out of chores, so I agreed to it. And I pretty much won all of them. But it did annoy me that I didn't get to keep my rewards. Then when I saw Jamie showing off her new shoes, I just wanted to yank them off her feet and throw them at her. Ugh! I thought twins were meant to have some sort of deep connection or something. Not me and Jamie. We couldn't be more different. Finally, I had a day off, so I arranged to go skateboarding with Rick. I grabbed my board and was about to leave when Mom blocked the door. "Charlotte, where do you think you're going? Jamie has a date tomorrow, and her dress needs hand washing." What? This was ridiculous. I rolled my eyes and said, "In that case, she can wash it herself." "Don't take that attitude with me, young lady. You'll do as you're told." Through angry sobs, I screamed at her, "I wish you weren't my mom!" Then I ran upstairs to my room. Right at that moment, the doorbell rang. My mom calmed down, cleared her throat, and opened the door. Huh? Why was there an expensive-looking car in our driveway? And why was a wealthy-looking couple standing on the doorstep? Curious, I hid behind the wall to see who they were and what they were here for. From my eavesdropping, I found out that the couple was the Barnes. They'd just retired from their jobs working for the government in the Secret Intelligence Department. Mom and Mrs. Barnes were besties in high school, so when they both fell pregnant at the same time, Mom offered to bring their daughter up as her own, so they could go and work away on their secret mission. "We've both taken early retirement, and we can finally enjoy life.
We're very grateful to both you and Gerald for looking after our daughter, but we're here to take her home now.
Oh my God! Turns out, one of us was adopted! No wonder we were nothing alike. But was it Jamie or me? Could it be me? I mean, Mom always preferred Jamie, so she could be her biological daughter. I knew they were my real parents. I could feel it. So taking a deep breath, I nervously stepped out to meet them.
Jamie, come down here, sweetie.
Mom called, and I froze on the spot. I watched on as Jamie appeared, and Mom introduced her to her real parents. She didn't even seem surprised. She just replied, "Yes, I know," then sweetly grinned. "I'm so happy that I can finally meet you both." The Barnes cooed over Jamie like she was a puppy or something. Then they got emotional and all. Ugh, it made me want to puke. I ran up to my room, locked the door, and cried. Life was so unfair. Jamie was always the lucky one, while I always got the raw deal out of things. I must have cried myself to sleep, as when I woke up, it was morning. I reached for my phone. Jamie had messaged me. "It's sad you missed my farewell dinner. I had a great time living with you. Come and hang out sometime, okay?" Poof! I aggressively threw my phone down onto my bed. Bold of her to assume I would ever want to hang out with her. We had nothing in common. Luck alone was an example. Life went on, but without Jamie, as she moved to some rich kid's school. And I continued going to school, work, sneaking out to skateboard, and avoiding Mom as much as possible. Then one chemistry class, while we were carrying out an experiment in the lab, one of my classmates made a mistake. And boom! We were all left looking like Cinderella. And that might have actually been the best thing of that day, since we were dismissed 2 hours early. Excited, I rushed home to get my skateboard, but I knew I needed to sneak past Mom so she didn't accuse me of skipping class. But as I passed the kitchen, I saw her sitting at the table sobbing to herself. What was going on? Suddenly, she stood up and walked out to the backyard. There was a leather notebook and a pen on the kitchen table, so I tiptoed over and took a peek. It looked like her diary. Those freshly written lines were stained with tears. "Jamie, my baby, I miss you terribly. I want you to live a wealthy, happy life, so I made the ultimate sacrifice. I tell myself every day that you're now a Barnes, not a Smith anymore. Not my daughter anymore." What? I couldn't trust my own eyes. What did these words mean? Could it be... But even if she mistreats me sometimes, she couldn't be that kind of person, right? I tore out that page, then hurried off to the skate park. Only I couldn't concentrate. It was so bad, I messed up my pop shove-it and landed on my butt. Ugh, this was driving me insane. That evening, Mom appeared in my doorway and asked,
"Charlotte, what did you do this afternoon?"
I answered, "I told you already. I was at school and then the skate park."
"Did you see my notebook? The leather one?"
I shook my head in response.
"Oh, it's my expense book. I can't remember where I left it."
She gave another scan around my room before leaving. When she was out of sight, I immediately pulled out my phone and texted Jamie. "Jamie, I miss you a lot. Can I come over to your house tomorrow?" I needed to see Mr. and Mrs. Barnes. I had to find out what was going on once and for all. Jamie replied she had a date the next day. While I was typing out a reply, she sent me another message. "We can't hang out. Please stop contacting me." Okay, that was weird. Did she sense something was up? I checked Jamie's social network profile and noted down the name of her new school. The next morning, I skipped class, went straight to Jamie's school administrator's office to ask for the Barnes' address. Oh, and of course, I made up a convincing story. Jamie's my sister, but then we found out she's actually the Barnes' biological daughter. Now my mom, who raised Jamie all these years, is really sick, and I need to tell her. But I don't know how to reach her. Perfect. She handed me the address and even wished me luck. There was no point wasting time, so I skated my way round to the Barneses. As I rang on their doorbell, I could feel my heart somersaulting in my chest. I introduced myself as soon as they answered the door. "Hey, I'm Charlotte, Mrs. Smith's daughter, but I strongly believe I'm not Charlotte Smith because I have something to show you." Then I handed them the torn page from my mom's diary. They both turned ghostly pale, and Mr. Barnes even had to grip onto the doorframe to steady himself. I felt bad for putting them through this. I mean, what if I was wrong? So I suggested, let's just do a DNA test to be sure. A few days later, the Barnes turned up at our house with Jamie. They slammed 2 DNA test results down in front of Mom. I peered down at them. Whoa! Turns out I really am the Barnes' biological daughter after all. Mom gave this expressionless look, but then in a quiet voice she said,
"I just wanted Jamie to have a wealthy and privileged life. She's not as strong as Charlotte. She needs this more. Please don't blame her. She didn't know anything about this."
Then she hugged Jamie and cried. Mr. and Mrs. Barnes looked overwhelmed. Finally, Mr. Barnes managed to find the words to say,
"Jamie's also like a daughter to us now. We will take care of her like you did with our daughter, but just stay away from us."
He pulled Jamie away from Mom and guided her out of the house. Mrs. Barnes hugged me as she started crying. I found myself doing the same. This was my real mom holding me. Whoa, this was so crazy. I packed my things, but as I was leaving, my old mom called me back.
"Charlotte, I have something to give to you."
Then she handed me a small box full of cash.
"This is your prize money. I put it away for your college fund. You better have it back. I'm so sorry."
My sight blurred with tears. Dad was right. She still cared for me. "My parents will forgive you. Then you'll soon see both of us again," I said as I hugged her tightly. Then I turned and left. A new life was waiting ahead of me. All roads were blocked by snow. No one in their right mind would go outside in this weather. But that banging on the door still persisted and was only getting louder and louder. Could it be Yeti? I hugged my blanket and willed it to stop, but of course it didn't. I couldn't sleep in this frantic noise either, so Yeti or no Yeti, I needed to go check it out. So I crept over to the door. A rush of panic swam through me, as with a shaking hand I slightly opened it. Huh? Trevor? Yep, it wasn't any snowy monster. It was Trevor, about to faint from the cold, but his hands were still holding tightly onto something. Trembling, he said, "Here you go. Put on some more clothes. You'll catch a cold." Then he passed me my suitcase. "Oh, God, you're crazy, Trevor. You are the one who's catching all the cold right now." I immediately sat him down on the couch and placed the blanket around him, then quickly opened my suitcase. Here they are, my secret weapon. Heat packs. I gave him some and got him another coat that wasn't covered in snow. "Here, drink this first. I'll go make you a cup of cocoa." I began pouring him a cup of warm water out of my thermal bottle, but he stopped me. Power, out." He shivered out. Well, that explained why it felt like a freezer in here. And no more hot cocoa then. Hey, so I'm Autumn, and this is part 2 of my story. If you haven't seen part 1, you should go and check it out. Don't be fooled by my name. It was definitely winter here in Texas. And this storm was insane. Shame I was stuck in a holiday cottage with my treacherous best friend Lillian, her lying twin Seth, and his secret girlfriend Charlie. Ugh. Turns out,
Lillian just wanted my Chicago clothes, and everyone, besides Trevor, was in on it. Back to Trevor, and I didn't want his death on my watch, so I rubbed his arms in a bid to defreeze him. When he looked like he'd thawed out a little, I raised an eyebrow and asked him, "Why did you go outside in this?"
Well, the power went out. I knew it'd be Antarctica for you in here without a heater, so I wanted to go get you the suitcase. But I ended up locked out, so I had no choice but to wake you up to get in. I'm sorry."
"What are you sorry about? It was just a little dumb of you." After that, we chatted about stuff. To be honest, I was super touched by what he did. While everyone was still deep asleep, here he was, thinking about me and risking his life to help me. Okay, so maybe I was a little harsh to him earlier when he confessed that he liked me. But hey, that could still just be him trolling me. I mean, I have a valid reason not to trust anyone under this roof anymore. I guess I must have fallen asleep as, the next morning, I woke up to Lillian frantically shaking me.
"Hey! Wake up! We're in big trouble!"
Oh, so they'd finally noticed the power was out. I passed everyone jackets and heat packs from my suitcase. Look, guys, layering up in these conditions is vital. Then I looked at Seth and Trevor. Even if that does mean wearing my pink pom-pom hat and squeezing into my rainbow-padded coat, we couldn't help but burst out laughing. At least there's something fun to brighten up the situation. Then we started prepping to face this apocalypse. And I was the captain, because, hey, I'm the one who had the most experience with snow around here. Time was of the essence, so I quickly went to check the faucet. Luckily, the water was still running, though the flow was a little weak. Quick, get anything that can contain water. We should store as much as we can before the pipes freeze up. Ugh, look at Seth and Charlie, being all playful and flirty, forming a bucket brigade, with Lillian too. What a thorn in the eyes. So I threw them some towels I'd found and ordered them to go windproof all the doors and windows instead, as Trevor could handle this water storage thing alone. Meanwhile, I checked on our food situation. Fortunately, we've brought enough for 2 days, but it's all frozen now, and we had to ration the food in moderation, as who knows how long this lockdown could be.
Hey, should we try using that fireplace? It's freezing, even with these jackets on. Yeah, Seth, why don't you figure it out?
Then we started cleaning up all the stuff in front of the fireplace, so Seth could give it a try. But oh boy, what did I expect? The most he managed to make was black smoke. Forget it. This is probably just a decorative fireplace. Y'all so dumb. Then Trevor appeared out of the basement with an armful of wood.
No, for sure it's usable. Look, I even found wood and coal stored here. Let me try.
He knelt down in front of the fireplace and started clearing the blockage to the chimney. After some time, it worked. Whoa, we had fire! We all whooped and jumped about like lunatics. Then Lillian wrapped her arms around Trevor's neck and kissed him on the cheek. Blushing, he immediately wiped it off with his hand, which then left some coal stains on his face. It was so funny. Trevor was our true hero again. While Seth... Well, thank God I didn't have a crush on that loser anymore. Poor Charlie. Have fun being stuck with that useless dude. Thanks to Trevor, we now had a fire to keep warm and to cook our food on. So we'd be fine, right?
Oh no! My phone's dead! Just when I think I caught a tiny bit of signal.
Gimme! Don't you know we can charge your phone with fruits? Seth grabbed Lillian's phone and charger and took them into the kitchen. Now that's strange. He has never looked so enthusiastic doing anything helpful during the past 2 days. He was probably trying to save his face after losing to Trevor so many times. Ha! I watched on with amusement as Seth stabbed the charger into a banana. What did I ever see in this guy again? Trevor burst out laughing, and Charlie sighed, then went off to prepare soup for dinner. Lillian folded her arms and pouted.
So? Hurry up! Seth grunted, then fiercely stabbed the charger into the poor banana several more times. Jeez, it was so dumb and too funny to stop him. Spirit, it won't work. Ugh, you ruined my charger and wasted our food. I wish I could just throw you out into the storm. Seth shoved the mashed banana into his mouth. Who told you it's wasted? This is my dinner. Then he sulked off into the corner and covered himself with a blanket. Hilarious! Hey, don't worry. I have a power bank in my room. I'll go get it. Oh, sweet! You're indeed my knight in shining armor. Always come and save me in time. She winked, then hugged his arms. He quickly looked at me, then shook her off of him. What was that for? Was he serious when he said he liked me? He rejected Lillian more than twice. And to be honest, I did have this tingling feeling whenever there were only two of us in the room. I don't know anymore. Later that night, we decided to all gather in front of the fireplace to sleep, as it's the only warm place in the house. So me and the other girls went to the bedrooms to get the mattresses and blankets. Well, anything useful, really. OMG, my brother's such a loser. Lillian laughed as she picked up her pillow. Charlie smirked. Tell me about it. He actually stabbed a banana to death. The poor banana, I chuckled. Joking around with them actually felt kinda good. We were stuck in this house together till God knows when, so maybe I should stop being bitter towards them. Besides, I was totally over that useless loser Seth now anyway. Even Charlie wasn't on his side. We set up a cozy base in the living room and spent the next few days riding out the storm. On a few occasions, Lillian tried snuggling up to Trevor with some excuse about raising body heat, but he just shuffled away from her. So in the end, she made us all do cardio workouts, which did the trick, and it was really funny to watch each other struggle to do star jumps with 500 layers of clothes on. Charlie also taught us to play some card games to pass the time, such as solitaire and Go Fish, which I'm now a pro at. Seth and Trevor even picked up a new hobby of wood carving. But so far, I still couldn't tell what their artworks were supposed to be yet. And finally, after 4 days of isolation, the storm seemed to weaken. We started to get stable phone signal back, and we called our parents right away to update them on the situation. They said they would come pick us up as soon as possible. We were all so happy, and also proud of ourselves. We'd survived this crazy storm. So, you're probably thinking this is the happy ending? Not so fast. When we were all FaceTiming Lillian and Seth's parents, their mom suddenly said to Charlie, "Thank you so much for helping us keep an eye on the kids. We'll definitely add a nice bonus onto your salary this month." We were all stunned. I don't even know if it's for the same reason, but why was Seth's mom paying his girlfriend? Lillian clumsily said goodbye to her mom and ended the call immediately, then tried to clear up the atmosphere with her fake laugh. Y'all know how my mom loves to give her dear nieces and nephews some extra pocket money whenever she sees them. Okay, what are we having for lunch today, guys? Just stop it. I know your secret already. Charlie and Seth are a couple, aren't they? But why is your mom paying her? That's sick. Lillian, Seth, and Charlie all shouted out in unison, "What?" Lillian gave me a questioning look. Autumn, what are you talking about? Yeah, I'm sorry for lying to you, but no, Charlie is not Seth's girlfriend. She's our tutor. Liar? If so, then why did you have to hide it? My parents didn't trust us staying in this place by ourselves, so they asked Charlie to supervise. And come on, we're 16. We don't need a babysitter. That's embarrassing. Yeah, I thought it's just a harmless lie, so I agreed to go along with them. I mean, we still had fun together, right? But who told you we were a couple? I was about to reply, but then Trevor dragged me to another room while saying to the others, "She needs to calm down first. Let me take care of this." Now we were alone. I gave him an "I'm waiting" look. "Okay, hear me out first, okay? I nodded, then he sighed and continued. Lillian does like you, and she did actually want to help you get with Seth, but he wasn't interested. So she promised him a month's worth of pocket money to stay here. I didn't really buy it, but let's see what else he's got. Okay then, but that doesn't change the fact that Seth and Charlie had something going on. Duh. That kiss? Actually, that wasn't real. I just dared Seth to do it. Charlie really is just their tutor. What was he talking about? I felt like the room started spinning. Look, I really do like you, Autumn, and I know I should never have lied about stuff, but it was only so you'd give me a chance. Only, Lillian now thinks I like her, and I never meant to give her the wrong impression. How dare he trick me like that? So I screamed at him. I will never, ever like you! Your actions have just made me hate you even more! Thanks to him, I misjudged Lillian, Charlie, and Seth. Although, to be honest, Seth might not have been a liar, but he was still so not my type. Trevor gave me this disheartened look as he stared down at the ground. Then he muttered out a, "Sorry." I didn't want to hear any more of his pathetic apologies, so I huffed my way out of there and sat on the freezing porch until my parents finally arrived. After that, things went back to normal. School resumed. Lillian and I are the best of friends, and she now calls me her snowstorm bestie. Aww. As for Trevor, I now avoid him as much as possible. I know he stares over at me at school. I can feel his gaze on me. But as soon as I look in his direction, he quickly turns away. I guess I do like him, okay? I don't agree with what he did, but I've got to admit, it sure takes a witty, imaginative guy to come up with a plan like that on the spot. Okay, fine. I'll give him another chance and see where things go. And if there's ever another snowstorm, well, then I suppose he's a handy guy to have around.
I'm so excited as it's my graduation ceremony tomorrow. Eek! And today I'm on my way to the airport to pick my mom up. I can't wait to see her, but, well, it's complicated. I grew up in Philly, but I've been studying here in Toronto for the last 3 years. I'm so grateful to God for letting me be a girl because, girls' lives are way more colorful than boys' lives are. Clothes, makeup, shoes, you name it. For girls, it's just so much more fun. I understand I'm probably confusing you. Well, up until the age of 18, I lived life as a boy. Kai. Actually, Kai's my legal name. I grew up with toy trucks, dinosaur wallpaper, and a rocket-shaped playhouse. Then, at 2 years old, Mom moved into a villa out in the countryside. It was just us and our old maid Rita. Meanwhile, my father and grandparents stayed in the city and ran the family company together. Back then, all I knew was my family was rich and successful, but I didn't think much about it. Hey, I was just a kid. All I cared about was getting to choose what color tumbler I had my juice in. Mom always said we moved away because of her migraines, which worsened in hectic surroundings. Nonsense. She just wanted to keep me away from the family so they wouldn't figure out I was actually a girl. Crazy, huh? So I must have known I was a girl, right? The thing is, when you're little, you pretty much believe everything your mom tells you. So when she said I was a boy, then I had no reason to think otherwise. Still, I was drawn to girly things like a magpie was to anything shiny. For instance, I tried putting my mom's sparkly hair clips in my short hair, but Mom caught me, took them out, and told me they weren't for boys. Another time, when I was at a playdate at this boy's house, I peered into his sister's room and saw all of the Barbies and dolls. Mesmerized, I took one and started playing with it, but then I heard him laughing at me, and he teased me that I was a boy and I shouldn't like gross things like dollies. I didn't like being teased, so after that, I tried to keep my liking for girly stuff to myself. I pretended to like action figures, aliens, and cars, but to be honest, I didn't care much for them at all. But the older I got, the harder it was for my mom to keep up the lie. The trickiest part being the school restrooms. To hide the secret, Mom told me the bathrooms at school were dirty, and if I used them, I'd end up with scaly green skin. So every day on the break, Rita would come and take me home to go to the toilet. At first, people at school thought this was weird, but then I guess they just put it down to odd things that rich people do. The other boys annoyed me. I didn't want to play football or run around the playground pretending to be a gladiator. Instead, I wanted to hula hoop with the girls and plait the manes of their toy ponies. So I did just that. One time, when I was waiting to get picked up from school, me and my friend were flicking through her girly magazine. Then suddenly, Mom stormed up to me and dragged me out of the girls' zone. Then on the ride home, in a serious voice, she said, "Kai, boys have to play with boys. It's just the way it is." This sucked, as I didn't want to play with the boys, but I didn't want to upset my mom, so I stopped playing with the girls. From then onward, I mostly just sat by myself and read fairy tales about princesses and mermaids, which I disguised in the covers of boys' books. My mom must have realized how I felt, so she didn't want to risk me being around other girls, which is why at 11, she insisted I went to an all-boys school. That sucked, as I had never really gotten along with other boys, if not to say that I hated them. But then, during lunch on my first day at the new school, this boy called Kevin sat down next to me and passed me half of his candy bar. We became best friends after that, and even built a den together in the nearby woods. Hanging out with him were my happiest days, as in those moments I just felt free. Then one day during a biology class, the teacher passed us sheets with diagrams of boys' bodies. My body didn't look like that. Was there something wrong with me? Confused, I decided to confide in Kevin about this. He was also a boy, so he could help me, right? I held up the sheet and whispered to him, my body is different to this. Before Kevin even had a chance to answer, one of the other boys shouted out, "Kai's different from us, let's go check it out." Then, to my horror, some of them lifted me and started carrying me toward the bathroom. I was screaming at the top of my voice. Luckily, the teacher ran out into the hallway after me and demanded the boys put me down at once. My mom rushed to school ASAP to take me home, as she received a call from my teacher about the incident. She tried cheering me up with ice cream, but it didn't work. I was so upset and confused. "Mom, why am I different from other boys?" She gave a wounded look, sighed, then in a quiet voice said, "Before I tell you the truth, I need you to understand that I love you, Kai, and everything I do is to protect you." She hugged me close to her, then continued, "I was so desperate for a child, but after years of trying, it felt like it wasn't meant to be. Then I found out that your dad cheated on me with another woman, and she was pregnant with a boy." I stared at Mom with wide eyes, patiently waiting to hear what came next, because so far, nothing made sense. This was hard to bear, but just when I thought my heart would break, well, I fell pregnant with you. You have to understand, your father and grandparents have very old-fashioned mindsets on the company and having a male heir to inherit it. So, even though his mistress ended up having a baby girl, and your father agreed to fund them both only if they moved to Miami, I knew you'd never be respected in your father's eyes, not as a girl. That mistress of his would make sure their daughter came back and got everything over you. I just couldn't let that happen. So I lied to everyone that you were a boy. I know you're probably angry with me, and I don't blame you. But you can't tell your father the truth. You can't tell anyone the truth. Wow. So, I was a girl? Now everything started to fall into place. This explained a lot. But of course I was furious. I'd been forced to live a lie just to please my mom. It took a few days before I began to calm down and be more understanding. I guess things must have been really hard for her too. Also, I was kind of relieved I was actually a girl, as deep down I'd always felt a desire to wear pretty dresses and play with dolls. I told Mom this and said I loved being a girl, so she made a compromise with me. I'd continue living as Kai until I was 18, and then I would go and study abroad, as the girl I'd always dreamed of being. After that, I moved schools to keep up the secret. It sucked that I didn't get a chance to say goodbye to Kevin, but I was relieved to go to a co-ed school again. Mom said I could hang out with the other girls as long as I kept the secret. Then, when I started high school, things became more complicated. Firstly, my voice was naturally soft, so I had to put on this gruff voice, which would leave me with a sore throat by the end of the day. So I just became one of those kids who didn't say much. I had to spend ages each morning wrapping a bandage around my chest to flatten it, and then I hid beneath baggy t-shirts and sweaters. I also had to do this boy walk. Then there was the bathroom. I swear everyone thought I had bladder problems, as I was the kid who always asked to go to the bathroom mid-class to avoid the other boys. At least there's one good thing out of this was that I didn't have to deal with sweaty PE, as Mom had told the principal that I had a health problem, so I could stay out of these risky activities, especially swimming lessons. But the struggles would never stop. I often looked at the girls with their glossy lips and in their cute vest tops with envy. Oh, how I longed to be able to be who I wanted to be. Finally, high school finished, and true to her word, Mom sent me off to a college in Canada. She sorted all of the paperwork out for me. There, I changed my name to Leanna, and I started my new, exciting life as a girl. I love long, shiny mermaid hair, so I started wearing a wig. I watched so many YouTube videos on how to apply makeup, painted my nails, wore pretty outfits, and tried walking in heels. Okay, all of these things would take some practice, but it still felt amazing. I was finally free of my old fake life and I could just be me. But I knew my family couldn't find out the truth, as it could have catastrophic effects for me and my mom. So I still had to dress and act like Kai again whenever I FaceTimed Dad or my grandparents. Time sure flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? I couldn't believe I was graduating tomorrow, and I was so grateful that Mom would be here to see it. When I picked her up from the airport, we both hugged and cried, then hugged some more. Through sobs, she blurted out, "Look at you! You look so different." "Thanks, Mom." I smiled and wiped her tears away. Luckily, Dad's workaholic, so he didn't even ask to come. Phew! As that would have been an awkward situation. As I wheeled Mom's suitcase out of the airport, she said to me, "We just need to take some photos of you graduating as Kai to show the rest of the family." I didn't want to be Kai on my special day, but I knew it was something that had to be done. So I forced a smile and said, "Sure, Mom, but let's do it where no one else can see us. I don't want my friends thinking I've gone crazy." The graduation ceremony was awesome. It felt so good to be up on that stage collecting my degree as my true self, glossy hair and all. Afterward, I took Mom to my favorite restaurant to continue the celebrations. As I twirled a piece of pasta around my fork, I said to her, "It feels so good to live life as a girl." I was thinking, I want to go back to Philadelphia and tell everyone the truth about who I am. My mom's face dropped, and then she said something totally unexpected.
Emma, your teacher, Mrs. Holm, called again. She said your grades are appalling and you don't pay attention in class. Why can't you be more like your sister? Yawn. Not this speech again. It's been like this ever since I started elementary school. In my mom's eyes, only my sister, Evelyn, inherited our dad's intelligence, while I'm just the senseless member of the family. Ugh, as if. She's only good with useless books. Bet she doesn't know anything practical, like how Dad's Ethernet company works and such. But whatever, I don't care. "I'm full," I announced as I got up and went to my little headquarters, the garage. I was busy working on my own personal project, so I didn't have time to give a hoot about who my mom's favorite child is. Oh, you must be wondering what I'm working on. Well, this device broadcasts Wi-Fi. Sounds familiar, right? But my device is able to broadcast across the entire city. Not only that, the connection is stronger and much more stable than the Wi-Fi people use at home. And it's more convenient without all the cables and stuff. This is without a doubt my proudest work ever. And what a coincidence that a few days earlier at school,
Mrs. Home announced that for the first time, the school was organizing an invention contest. Normally, I give school activities a miss, but this time was different. This contest could be fun, right? There was no time to waste, so I put all my spare time, day and night, into making my invention contest ready. And you won't believe what happened. I won first prize! And that's not all. One of the judges, Mr. Johnson, was so interested in my invention that he offered to invest in it. At first, I was kind of scared and hesitated to agree because, I was still in high school. But this was an opportunity of a lifetime, so how could I deny it, right? So after that, Mr. Johnson sorted out a manufacturing company and office space for me downtown. This is cool, but I prefer to work in my garage. It's just more convenient that way, with me still being at school and all. I upgraded my device and launched it to the public. And you know what? It was a huge success. Pretty much everybody in the city got rid of their old, laggy Wi-Fi devices and accessed mine. Then one day, I got a call from the local news channel asking to interview me and my family at home. Oh my god, yes! Oh, there's just one snag. I hadn't told my family about it yet because, I don't know. Maybe I just know there's no way they'd believe me? Like the time I got an A in my physics exam, and my mom instantly asked if I cheated. But, well, whatever. This is much bigger than that. So I quickly ran downstairs to the living room and excitedly told my family that the invention benefiting the town was mine. But Mum and Evelyn burst out laughing. So you're telling me that this Wi-Fi, which is broadcasting across the entire city, is your invention? Yeah, Mum, it's mine. Then Mum and Evelyn laughed even louder. Honey, it's bad enough you're failing at school. Please don't start lying. Ugh, forget about it. Why did I even try? Then, the morning after, when the doorbell rang, my mom opened it and saw a reporter and a cameraman. She couldn't believe her eyes. Mum and Evelyn exchanged panicked looks, then rushed upstairs to prepare. It was so hilarious. The hysterics continued as they interviewed my parents. I watched my nervous, sweaty dad stand there like an awkward statue, while Mum began bragging about me like, as soon as Emma was born, I knew she was a genius like her dad. I always encourage her to pursue her dreams. Jeez, and the Oscar goes to my mum. I didn't know she could act that well. To be honest, since I could remember, Mum never said anything nice about me. Ever. But now that she knew I was the mastermind behind the town's Wi-Fi, she would probably treat me differently, right? Wrong. Then one night I came downstairs for a glass of milk and overheard Mum and Dad talking in the living room. Emma is such a selfish child. How badly will this affect your business? The truth is, the company's going through tough times. But don't worry, we're trying everything we can. Huh? Did I do something? And what's wrong with Dad's company? I tried to eavesdrop more, but suddenly I heard my dad standing up from the couch, so I quickly ran upstairs to my room. The next day, Dad forgot to take his lunch with him to work, so Mum asked me to take it over. But when I got to his company floor, it was deserted. Huh? Where was everybody? Did everybody get a day off or something? But that couldn't be it, right? That evening, over dinner, I asked Dad. I went to your office at midday, but not a single person was there. What's going on? Mum suddenly put her cutlery down and gave Dad a shocked look. Is what Emma just said true? Dad lowered his head and sighed out. Yes, it's true. I temporarily shut the company last week. I didn't want you all to worry, so I didn't tell you. I'm sorry. What? How could you? You said you would fix it! That's when it hit me. But I deeply prayed it wasn't the truth. So I asked him, is it because of my device? Dad didn't answer me. He just glared sadly down at his dinner. But I knew what his silence meant. I was right. Suddenly, Evelyn stood up and screamed in my face. It's all your fault! You invented that stupid device, and now Dad's business is at stake. That's so typical of you. You never think before you act.
Then she stomped off upstairs. I just sat there speechless. I just wanted my family to be proud of me, but instead, it seemed like they despised me more than ever. Then Dad turned to me and softly said, "Emma, this isn't your fault." I was kind of waiting for my mom to say something, anything at all, but she didn't. She just cleaned up the table. I felt really bad about what happened to Dad. But hey, now I had to work even harder so I could provide for my family, right? After that, Mom completely ghosted me. As for my sister, whenever our paths crossed, she gave me a dagger look and muttered out mean comments like,
"Let's see how long it takes for your precious business to fail."
I tried to ignore her, but then she took it too far. One Sunday, I was in my garage working away when suddenly I heard loud noises coming from outside. I opened the garage door to see a crowd of people holding signs saying, "We lost our jobs because of you," and "No job, no future." My God, they were protesters. I think they were from my dad's office. Wait a minute. I spotted a familiar face. Evelyn? She was holding a big sign saying, "My dad lost his job because of you." Eventually, Dad came out and dispersed the crowd. Then he called an emergency family meeting. "How could you do that to me?"
The correct question would be, how could you do that to Dad? Thanks to you, dozens of people have lost their jobs. You're making people's lives miserable.
Enough, both of you. Evelyn, what you did was wrong. Families are supposed to support each other.
But Dad,
Didn't you just hear what I said? Evelyn gave me a dirty look, then she ran off to her room. I looked at Mum, who was leaning against the wall with her arms folded. Did she agree with what Evelyn did? Or was she on my side? My God, please say something. But to my surprise, after that, my mother started talking to me again, and she was actually being nice. She even started cleaning my room and workspace. Whoa, this was new. Had she finally accepted me? Then one day, I received tons of emails complaining about my Wi-Fi. It took me all day, but I finally found the cause of the problem. My laptop. Somebody had tampered with it. It didn't take a genius to figure out who it was. Evelyn, duh. But I needed proof, so I set up a trap. The next evening, when everybody was having dinner, I ran downstairs, quickly grabbed a piece of bread and said, "I need to go run some errands. Oh, and can you please stay out of the garage, as I'm uploading some important files?" Mum and Dad nodded and smiled at me. Evelyn, on the other hand, just rolled her eyes and continued eating. Well, at least I knew my plan was in motion. I walked outside and hid behind the bushes. So, what's my plan, you ask? Well, I set up my laptop so that when anyone opened it, it would automatically send a notification to my phone and turn on the camera so I could see who it was. I waited for an hour, but still nothing. Then suddenly, my phone beeped. Somebody was opening my laptop. They hadn't switched the light on yet, so it was too dark to see them, but I was 100% sure who it was. Time to expose.
What are you doing sneaking out here?
Evelyn? What was she doing out here? Wait, if Evelyn was here, then who was it in the garage? Not answering Evelyn's question, I ran like crazy into the garage to capture this intruder. And as soon as I turned on the lights, I couldn't believe who was messing with my laptop. It was Mom! What on earth was going on? I called a family meeting and told everyone what Mom did. Dad and Evelyn looked shocked and asked Mom why she did it. "I just couldn't stand seeing your dad suffer anymore. He put his life into that company, and now he's just a laughing stock. Do you realize our neighbors and relatives have been gossiping about him? They think it's so pitiful that he lost out to his own daughter. So I did what any self-respecting wife would do." Was she serious? Why didn't she just talk to me? All I ever wanted was for her to talk to me. Nothing else. But no, she decided to go behind my back and try to sabotage my business instead. After her betrayal, I'd had enough, so I didn't speak to her and avoided her as much as possible. It was one thing for Mom to be cold towards me, but I never thought she was capable of doing this. This went on for weeks, and it got kinda tedious. Trust me, it's no fun trying to avoid someone in your own home. But then one day, I arrived back from school and saw Dad sitting in a corner in the living room, repairing his PC. Geez, he looked so miserable. That's when the truth hit me. This was his passion, and I took it away from him. Suddenly, I understood why Mom did what she did. She saw how disheartened he was, but knew he'd never say anything to me, because he's always supportive. But how can I fix everything? Should I give everything up so that my dad can reopen his company again? Ugh, why was this so hard to figure out? Wait a minute. I think I have the solution. You must be wondering what my dad was doing here. Well, I came up with the idea that we should work together. My dad's a pro with technology, so it didn't take long to show him how things work around here. Oh, and since my business has grown, we were able to employ some of his former work employees too. With Dad around to help, I have time to focus on my studies. Even Evelyn started helping out, and she was so good at it, I made her Dad's assistant. Talk about a proper family business. Ha! As for Mom, we had a really long talk. I finally told her how awful her attitude towards me made me feel, and she apologized for everything she had done. I eventually forgave her. I knew she did that just because she loves Dad very much. So, after all that drama, we're now just one big happy family.
I was casually walking along the hallway, just minding my own business, when I felt a cold breeze rush through the hallway. I turned my head to see, and oh, it was Natasha. Ooh. I didn't mean to look her in the eye, but I did. Oh no, was she going to hit me? Panicked, I quickly glared down at my feet. My heart was thudding with fear, and inside my head, I repeated, "Please don't hurt me, please don't hurt me." But to my relief, she walked past me. Phew! Hi, I'm Marcus, and you might be wondering why I'm so afraid of that girl, right? Well, there's a reason why her nickname is Silent but Deadly. She's the tallest girl in the school, intimidating, and she never utters a word. The school was full of rumors about her, such as how the last kid who messed with her ended up in intensive care. Nobody, and I mean nobody, should ever look her in the eye, not unless they want to end up unconscious. I definitely just had a lucky escape. Thankfully, not all the girls in my school were as terrifying as Natasha. Nope. Instead, there was this really cute girl named Naomi. She's beautiful, sweet, and gentle. Only, she's also super popular and is dating Nicholas, the captain of the basketball team. So I just kept my feelings to myself and carried on with my life. But wait, where's my notebook? I guess I left it back in the science lab. So I rushed in there and, oh no, Nicholas was there and he was reading my notebook. I quickly grabbed it off of him, but it was too late. He'd already taken pictures of the song lyrics I wrote about my feelings for Naomi. Blast it! So let me get this straight. A nerd like you dares to daydream about Naomi? But we have a problem here. She's my girlfriend. Don't you know that? Wait, it's not like that. I'll stay away from her, I promise. Nicholas gave me this unnerving look. Ugh, no good thing could ever come from a look like that. I braced myself for what he was about to do next. You have to do everything I say, else I'm gonna ruin your life. Huh? Was he being serious? Judging by his devious smirk, yup, he was 100% being serious. I want you to ask Natasha out. Make sure you do it in front of the whole class. What? Natasha? That scary girl? How could I? If you say no, the entire school will know about this. Then he waved his phone in front of me. Ugh, that vile Nicholas. But I couldn't risk my song being sent to everyone, so it looked like I had no choice. So the following day, I walked over to Natasha's desk and asked her, Natasha, will you be my girlfriend? The whole class was silent. Then they burst out laughing. She glared at me. Ugh, this wasn't good. I winced, preparing for the death punch. But instead, she led me out into a corner of the hallway. Then she gave me this weak smile, followed by a nod. Oh my God, did she just agree to be my girlfriend? This is crazy. It was completely beyond my expectations. But, whew, at least I was still alive, right? And that's how I ended up dating the scariest girl in school. She never spoke to me, not even a word. So I just helped her with her studies and carried her stuff around. We also exchanged numbers, but we only chatted through messages. Then one day when I was on my way to have lunch with Natasha, Nicholas strolled over to me and told me I had to take her to the cinema to catch this awful-looking rom-com, which didn't seem like her thing at all. But what other choice did I have? Nicholas' words were orders. So I asked her over lunch, and to my surprise, Natasha smiled, then gave me a big thumbs up as agreement. When I went to pick up Natasha, she was already waiting for me on her porch. She walked over with a notepad. Curious, I asked her why she had it, and she wrote, "I won't be able to text you during the movie, so this will have to do." Yep, Natasha has always been different from everyone else, so I didn't ask anymore. During the film, I noticed Natasha was crying, so when it was over and we stopped for lunch, I teased her. "I saw you crying during the movie." She slammed her notepad on the table after she wrote, "I was not crying." I just laughed and took her home. Maybe she wasn't as scary as the rumors made her out to be. To be honest, she was also quite cute. The more time I spent with Natasha, the more I started to warm to her. There was something I liked about her, even though we had only communicated through sticky notes. I was desperate to hear her voice, so I hatched a plan. When we were in the library on a study date, I picked up an old book and blew the dust in her face. She almost sneezed. But before she did, she placed her hand over her mouth and raced into the girls' bathroom. Then she returned wearing a mask. After that, I tried to make her laugh. I quickly took 2 pencils from the table and stuffed them into my nose, and started making ugly faces. But Natasha just glared at me and handed me a note. "If you continue to do these ridiculous things, there will be payback." No way was I giving up. So the next day, when I saw her by her locker, I rushed over to her and began imitating the voices of the minions. I thought it would definitely work this time, but no, instead she punched me in the arm. Ouch! Yep, I now learned that the rumor about her inhuman strength was not an exaggeration. So I just gave up and our relationship continued. Then one weekend, when I was at Natasha's house to study, I went down to the kitchen to get a drink, just as her mom returned from the grocery store. As I helped her unpack, we started talking. She told me about Natasha's love of collecting glass art, the pieces of which filled the house. Then her mom touched my shoulder and thanked me for making her daughter happy again. Oh man, this was awkward. Now I felt super bad. To divert the convo, I asked if Natasha talked at home, but she just smiled and replied, "Natasha's such a quiet kid, right?" Then she told me how it's because Natasha's always been taller than the other kids, but she has a squeaky voice. This led to lots of teasing, and once she got so upset, she pushed a boy over and accidentally caused him to have a nosebleed. Since then, people started to shun her, so she withdrew from herself and stayed silent. Hearing this made me feel so guilty. What I was doing was wrong, and Natasha didn't deserve this. Then her mom said something that truly shocked me. In middle school, this one girl named Naomi was horrible to all. The mean comments got so bad she refused to go into school for weeks at a time. Huh? Naomi? The same Naomi I know? No way! Confused, I told Natasha's mom I needed to leave and left her looking bewildered as I ran out of there. My mind was a mess. I had a crush on a mean girl. And I'm just as bad, if not worse, after what I did to Natasha. Then my phone rang with a text from Natasha. It said, "Sorry if my mom said something she shouldn't have. You okay?" I texted back, "We need to talk tomorrow, please." So we decided to meet at her house the next day. Alone in her living room, I told her everything, including my notebook, liking Naomi and how Nicholas was blackmailing me. "Natasha, please, you have to believe me. I'm sorry I did this to you." I saw the hurt look in her eyes. Then she threw a note at me and ran to her room. The note told me to get out, but before I did, I stood on the other side of her door. "I don't expect you to forgive me, but I couldn't continue our relationship on a lie. Look, I like you, and I don't want to deceive you anymore." After that, I left, and I also texted Nicholas that I didn't care if he told everyone. I'm done being his puppet. The next day, I expected school to be intolerable, but to my surprise, nothing happened. Instead, I saw that Natasha was trying to sort out her locker. A crowd had gathered around her and Naomi was taunting her. How does it feel to know that even your boyfriend likes me more? He doesn't like you. Natasha carried on sorting out her books, but I could see that she was fighting back tears. Furious, I pushed past them all and told Naomi to stop. She just jokingly said, "You know, if you wanted to date me, you could have just asked. You didn't have to spend so many months suffering with this giant scarecrow. You're right, I did like you back when I thought you were a nice person. But now I know the true you. You're a coward who only feels good when it's at the expense of someone's misery. And I can see why you target Natasha the most, because she has two things you'll never have, a true kind heart and a loving spirit." After that, I pulled Natasha away and told her how sorry I am. But she didn't even glance at me and just walked off. A few days later, after PE class, I was about to go to the locker room when a classmate, Dante, came up to me. "Marcus, help me carry the PE equipment into the storage room, please. I have a stomachache." He hugged his stomach, then hurriedly ran away. Without thinking much, I packed up the equipment and carried it into the storage room. As soon as I put it down, I realized that Nicholas, Naomi, and some guys from the basketball team were waiting there for me. "Oh, well, Marcus, do you really like that weird Natasha? Didn't see that coming." Then the whole group burst into laughter. "You have no right to say that to her. Take a look at yourself." "Whoa, are you defending her?" Then she turned to Nicholas. "Babe, show him who's the boss here." Then she pulled out her phone and started recording. Nicholas smirked, then grabbed my shirt collar with one hand and reached out his fist to me with the other. I tried to struggle but couldn't get out. He was too strong. Knowing I was doomed, I closed my eyes and awaited his punch, but suddenly a loud shout came out. "Stop!" I opened my eyes to see Natasha and a teacher standing in front of the door. Turns out she overheard Dante bragging to some kid about Nicholas's plan. So she came to my rescue. I looked at her gratefully, but she turned away to avoid my gaze. Meanwhile, Nicholas hastily released my collar and lied to the teacher that we were just chatting. But of course, he didn't believe him and summoned them all to the supervisor's room. After that incident, Nicholas, Naomi, and the rest of the basketball team were suspended from school for 2 weeks. They deserved it. But who cares? I have more important things on my mind, such as winning back Natasha. I knew that her birthday was coming up, and I remembered how she loved glass art. So I bought her a glass art figure of Cinderella's glass slippers with a ticket to senior prom and a card saying, "Thank you and happy birthday. I know what you did doesn't mean you forgive me, but I want to be your real boyfriend. So I left you a ticket for senior prom. If you come and dance with me, then I know you'll give me another chance. If not, then I know that it's over. But remember, you are a special person and deserve the best." The night of prom came and I was stuck there all alone, feeling like a fool. This sucked, but after what I did, it was what I deserved. I didn't want to stick around here without her. So I was about to leave, but then my classmate tapped my shoulder and gestured for me to turn around. OMG. It was Natasha in the most beautiful crimson red dress. She walked over to me and then reached out her hand to ask me to dance. And of course, I accepted. As the song came to an end, she leaned in and whispered to me, "Thank you, my hero." I can safely say that was the happiest night of my life, as it led to me having the best girlfriend ever. Oh, also her voice is actually really cute, although she does get annoyed with me when I tell her that.
Too much studying and not enough sleep was making me feel like a zombie. Chocolate would help, right? So I drowsily walked downstairs. Huh? Why was my whole family there with their suitcases? Are you guys going somewhere? Yes, Colorado for a ski trip. That's awesome! You're the best, Daddy!
Not you, Helen. You have studying to do. And this is a special award for Christine for winning her scholarship.
What? So you're just going to leave me out because of some meaningless grades? This is so unfair. Ugh! Whatever. I don't even need them to go with me. Shh. Come here. And I'm gonna let you in on a secret. I can go to the ski resort by myself and have way more fun. But how, you ask? It's called lucid dreaming. I first heard about it through the biggest buzz movie, Inception, and realized that I've had experienced the same things before. Since then, I've become an expert at this. So before I go to bed, I just have to write a script saying where I want to go, with whom, what I want to do, and 3, 2, 1. I'm asleep and living my best life. In fact, I could say that those beautiful self-designed dreams are like meditation to me. Because, to be honest, my real life is tedious. No matter how hard I tried, I was no match for my younger half-sister, Christine. In my dad and grandma's eyes, a child of a doctor in physics, as well as a grandchild of a history professor, should automatically be a walking encyclopedia or something. But unfortunately, I didn't excel at the academic side of life. Ugh. They treat Christine like this precious gemstone and me like some boring old rock. Every week usually entails her getting excellent grades or winning some reward, and all of my family lavishing her with gifts and praise, while I'm treated like an outsider in my own family. Ugh! Just thinking about it makes me want to scream. So, they want me to stay home and concentrate on tomorrow's test, huh? Nah, you wish. So instead, I grabbed my pen and started writing tonight's awesome dream script. Let's see. That's right. The obnoxious Roger dared to heartlessly throw the candy I gave him in the trash, even though he'd been flirting with me. What a jerk. I will definitely retaliate against him tonight. Lying in bed, I closed my eyes and repeated this sentence. I'm going to kick him out of my life. And you won't believe it. In the dream, he kept chasing me like crazy, but I totally blanked him. Helen, wake up! Time's running out! My best friend Gabby kicked my chair and I jolted awake. Oh no, there were only 5 minutes left. I frantically ticked on the paper and hurriedly submitted it to the monitor. Hey, did you not get any sleep or something? Well, I stayed up late writing the script for my dream. It was worth it as I got payback on Roger. What if you get a bad grade? Never mind. I'll be fine when I come home tonight with an A+ dream. But things turned out not to be as simple as I thought. That afternoon when I arrived home, I was about to sneak up to my bedroom to write my next amazing script when someone grabbed my bag strap and pulled me back. It was Grandma and Dad, and both of them seemed to be mad. How long are you going to live like this? Education is important to this family, yet you don't seem to care. Do you realize this week alone your teacher has contacted me 3 times? But Dad, I really don't like those boring subjects. I only like no more drawing or writing your silly stories. You need to focus on your studies, else you'll end up a useless person like... She suddenly stopped, which made me curious. Like who? But neither she nor my dad said anything. They just quietly walked away, leaving me alone. Honestly, I never wanted to disappoint them that much. So this time I was going to try my best to not let them down. Dad! Grandma! Look! I got a B+ in my math test! No one cared what I said. My stepmom cuddled Christine and looked at her with sparkling eyes. My wonderful daughter. I know the top student award is just a piece of cake to you, unlike someone else. Then she turned to me and tutted, Helen, please, you're making a show of yourself. That's embarrassing. My face fell, and I forced back tears. But I tried so hard to get this grade. A B+ is nothing to be proud of. I chucked my exam paper in the trash, then stormed up to my room. It didn't matter what I did or how hard I tried. This household would always treat me like a loser. Dream on, Helen. Go back to your happy place. In front of me was the crimson sunset sky. I'd been scripting this moment for so long, lounging lazily on the beach without anyone complaining. But suddenly the sky darkened, and the inky clouds seemed intent on swallowing me. Huh? What was going on? This wasn't a part of the script. Terrified, I ran into a forest, but it was so dark and spooky here, and I tripped over a branch and fell. Ouch! As I rubbed my ankle and started crying my eyes out, suddenly a strange woman appeared. She took me into a wooden house at the end of the forest and gently helped bandage me up. This woman, well, she didn't scare me at all. Instead, I felt warm around her. Curious, I tried to take a closer look at her face, but then I suddenly woke up and realized tears were rolling down my cheeks. What a strange dream. I immediately drew all the things I'd seen, that forest, that house, but strangely, I couldn't remember that woman's face. Why are you drawing all this nonsense? My dad snatched the sketch from my hand and looked at it frowning. It appeared in my dream and... Get rid of them all. From now on, if I see you wasting your time on these stupid drawings again, there will be consequences. This was too much. I couldn't live without drawing. It was the only thing keeping me sane. I had to get out of here, live my way. Forget them and their stupid standards. I would create my own world. I planted myself in Gabby's room, and this is where I've been for almost a week. Luckily, Gabby's parents are totally chill with me staying. As for my family, they haven't messaged me once. And yes, dreams do go on. But now I dreaded going to sleep as my lucid dreams were still all messed up. Sometimes beautiful, sometimes bad. And for the most part, it did not turn out the way I wanted it to anymore. Until one day, that creepy forest appeared again. No matter how much I screamed to wake myself up, I still couldn't get out of that nightmare. Panicked, I kept running and running in the hope of finding a safe place till I saw that woman. And once again, she reached out her hand to help me. This time, I wouldn't miss my chance. I looked carefully at her face, remembering every detail, and as soon as I woke up, I drew her. Wow, I didn't know you watched this kind of show. Gabby giggled. What show? Look, she's a celebrity. She hosts some TV show that my mom watches sometimes. So, that woman is a real person? If so, I have to find her. I didn't really know what was going on, only that there was something tying me to this woman and I needed to figure this out. Luckily, Gabby has an uncle who works at the studio, and he gave us special passes to meet this host in the flesh. When the cameras stopped filming, she turned and saw me, and her eyes widened in alarm. Helen? Helen, is it really you? Then she rushed over and hugged me. Huh? What did she just say? We didn't know each other, and the weird thing is, this hug didn't feel strange at all. Instead, I felt the same warmth as when she'd taken care of me in my dream. As she loosened her embrace on me and gave me this beaming smile, I said, and you are? Darling, it's me, your mother. That's when I realized something. Of course, she was my mom. Look, we had the same eyes. Needless to say, this was a huge shock. We hugged each other for a long time in tears. Then Mom took me backstage, got me a glass of water, then she told me everything. So after I was born, Mom once got caught up in a cheating scandal. Dad was angry about the damage this would do to his career, so he kicked her out of the house and wouldn't let her see me. A long time later, she found out that Grandma was behind everything, just because she didn't approve of this marriage, so she came up with that plan. But why didn't you ever try to find me when you've always been living this close? Oh, no, sweetie. I've always kept an eye on you. One time, years ago, I saw you playing in the park. You had your hair in pigtails and I tried to approach you, but your dad threatened me. He is a very powerful man who's actually capable of destroying my life. And I didn't think it was fair to drag you through all of that. But things have changed now. I'll never leave you alone, ever again. I strolled into the house like normal, and everyone stopped what they were doing and glared at me with disgust. Oh, you're back. If you're not prepared to study properly, then don't bother staying. I took a deep breath, then said, You can't treat me like this anymore. I try my best, and it's not fair that you punish me for just being me. So I'm leaving, and I'm never coming back. Psst, where will you go? That's when Mom walked in. Oh God, you should have seen the looks on their faces. Grandma actually looked like she'd swallowed a swarm of wasps. I stood by and let you manipulate and control me. Well, no more. I'm taking my daughter, and we're going to have the life we both deserve. Then, ignoring their angry words, she grabbed my arm and led me out of there. So that's the moment when I left home and moved in with my mom. Now I draw as much as I want. In fact, Mom's letting me create a mural on the living room wall. It's going to be epic when it's finished. Oh, and about the lucid dreams, I don't write scripts anymore. Instead, I realized that I'm better off focusing on my reality and making myself the best version of myself I can be. After all, as great as a dream world can be, it's nowhere near as good as experiencing life firsthand.